What's up, y'all? Welcome to another exciting edition of the In Our Tribe podcast, brought to you by the good people at YDN. If you don't know what YDN stands for, look it up. I'm just playing. Youth Development Network, right? So let's see here. Man, there's so much I want to say about today, but I kind of want to let the conversation just do what it does. Today, I'm with the Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of the James B. McClatchy Foundation. And again, if you don't know who JBMF is, for sure look them up because they are doing the real work in the Central Valley as a foundation. So I want to introduce to you none other than Miss Misty Avila. Welcome.
Thanks, Adrian. It's so nice to be here with you.
Right on, right
I
on.
love it.
This is cool, right?
Very cool.
So okay, couple things.
Okay.
First, what are you listening to? Today's theme is brought to you by Prince. If you haven't seen, anyone who knows me knows that I am a Prince fanatic. I've been a Prince fanatic since fourth grade.
Really?
Yes, yes. Cried for weeks after he passed away.
Oh, that's amazing.
Literally called in sick the day he died because I couldn't get my crap together. It was really weird. Never thought that would happen, but it did. So that's a little bit about me. But what about you? What do you listen to these days?
You have so many layers, by the way, Adrian. There's so many layers to you. I think that's why I'm fascinated by you, is because I love people. I love listening to people, and I think you're one of those people that just are really interesting to me. And
Yikes!
What am I listening to? Well, I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. Two girls, and so we've been listening to a lot of K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes, yes.
And to be real, that's sometimes it's on even when the kids aren't in the car.
Yep.
So that's my life right now, is
Yes.
a lot of that. And then if I have the true space and the time to really think about what I need for my soul, it's always going back to the 90s R&B, Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill.
Yes.
Boys to Men, to recharge.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I remember when that Lauryn Hill album dropped right after the Fugees broke up. I didn't even know if they had broken up yet, but she just went and did her, that thing took over the world.
Yes.
And it was so good, so needed.
I remember I made my dad take me to Tower Records in Sac and buy the Fugees album.
Yes.
And I was really young.
The score, right? Was
yes.
it? Yep.
And we put it on in the car, and there's it's just so many cuss words and just all these things. My dad's he's just I'm that was the first time that he probably figured out who I really was.
It's Misty. Okay. And you were singing all the lyrics?
I definitely knew at least one song,
Well, I'm equally as fascinated, probably more, because I just think with the work that you and your team and the team at JBMF is doing right now, it's just out of control, amazing, and so needed right now. Thank you for that. And I want to dive into that in just a little bit. But can you share with us a little bit about your path to becoming who you are right now? Where'd you grow up and what got you into this business?
Oh man, such a good question. I think it's important to know that I'm the baby sister. So I'm the little sister. I have 2 older sisters. My mom was the youngest of 12. They grew up in Oak Park here in Sacramento. And so I definitely, but at the same time, I was, the first in my family to go to college, kind of labeled or brought up as the smart one in the family, which I just went with it. Horrible student, but I just went with it, comparatively to, I think, my family. Both my mom and my sisters were both moms very, very young, in their late teens. And so I think, being the little sister, you don't have that older sister responsibility.
Yeah.
But so I was just a rebellious, I think, from the beginning. And I observed my sisters, and I just realized okay, don't do that, don't get caught. And so I think my whole life I've just had kind of a quiet rebellion. I just kind of just do what I want, and I just have to figure it out myself. I just have to know.
Yeah.
So I think I grew up working in restaurants. All my parents worked in restaurants for their careers, and I knew community service was going to be a part of that.
Right on.
And so, I dove into the nonprofit space during college and just haven't left. So it's been almost 20 years of just being in like potentially every possible role of like the nonprofit industrial complex.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you hit the wall of like being around funders. And my whole life, I was just like, oh, funders are, I had a chip on my shoulder about funders.
Me too.
Yeah. So, it's just like, but then I think I just had this thing in me is like, I had to know.
Yeah.
I had to know what was on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I had to know what it felt like.
Yeah.
And so found this opportunity that I'm currently in right now to kind of dive into what it meant to be in this role.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does it mean?
I mean, it's really humbling because, I came in hot, like, okay, I'm gonna do things differently, or I'm gonna make a difference, or but the reality is even in the funding space, there are a lot of brilliant, kind people and a lot of change makers.
For sure.
But you're just kind of part of this system that is very unaccountable to community. There's a lot of wealth, and like, but I think what I realize is that this is just another role in the larger movement, and that we're actually all on the same plane.
Wow.
And that we actually need our nonprofit folks, our community folks, more than they need us.
Wow.
And like deeply experiencing that.
Yeah.
I always said like I'm gonna be a funder for 5 years and I'm gonna leave. And now I'm at 5 years, 9 months. So I'm like,
and you ain't leaving.
Because I always said like if you're in it too long, like you become it. You know, if you're in it too long. Yep. So I definitely had a moment right now of.
Ooh, can we stop there? That right there. I think that's a myth. I think that myth of if you stay too long, you're no longer impactful. And I'll tell you why I think it's a myth.
Okay.
And tell me, and then I want you to push back on me. Okay,
I'm so excited.
So, I think it takes about 3 to 4 years just to get your shit together. I think it takes that long just to understand the landscape, just to understand what this thing's all about. And then you start finding your jam. Then you start finding like, okay, here's how I fit and here's how my strengths can come out to play. But I think that whole thing, like I used to hear people say like the longest executive director should stay in theirs. I'm like, bullshit. Like honestly, to do this job well, like it's almost like you need to re-educate yourself, reevaluate yourself, and be all in, because if you're not all in, you can't be effective. So that's my 2 cents on that. But where do you stand on this one? Because it's interesting to hear you say like I was going to be out after 5 years.
It's 5 years feels like nothing now. I am annoyed. But growing up, it's like you are in survival mode. The way my family is, and like I literally didn't even think about the next day.
Yeah.
Or like 3 weeks from now, or I'd be like, I'm gonna do this for 3 months, and that felt like planning a lifetime. So it's taken, it's taken some work or some stability in my life to even think beyond like a longer time frame.
Yep.
And I always wanted it out. Like I always wanted to be like, I can survive on my own. So like I don't need this situation. I don't want, if I don't have to. But now I know like no, I need the situation.
You know what's wild about that? Like I just think about like what it would look like. No, I don't even want to say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. But what it would look like if Misty wasn't on the scene at JBMF, or what would it look like if Priscilla wasn't on the scene? And quite honestly, like I think our earth would shake a little bit, because like you all are so key to this movement and so key to the reality of that we are in a battle for the hearts and minds of the Central Valley right now, and very few foundations get it the way you all get it. And I know that's a heavy burden and a heavy responsibility. I can only imagine. But, and I know that, things change. But the reality is, it's kind of cool to see you all finding your jam right now. It's kind of cool to see you all really saying, like, this is our lane. This is what we're about. We're going to stand on business. It's rare, right? And that's why I wanted you on the podcast, because I'm like, man, that's change making 101 right there.
It's so hard because the conditions that we're in kind of set us up for, the fact that the organization was founded in 1994,
Yeah.
and it just did quiet grant making in the Central Valley,
Yeah.
mostly to support English learners and the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2016 to 2019, the board decided to spend down, and so they brought on Priscilla as CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And so the interesting part about this is it kind of, as the board has decided, okay, the issues are urgent now. We need to invest in the valley now. We need to not hoard this wealth. We need to reinvest it in the community and let the community carry it forward. We want to see impact during our lifetime. Um, I, they bring in a CEO that has has this ability to have the strongest narrative in community building.
Yeah.
And it's like we had to build up before we go down.
Yep.
So, that's why we called it the sunrise, because it's like we're building up the valley, we're building up the folks in the valley, we're building up ourselves.
Right.
So like now we're actually known, for the first couple of years, nobody knew who I was, which was great, by the way, because nobody and there was, they only knew me adjacent to my community organizing work.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of more authentic interactions in the beginning. But yeah, just knowing that this is a spend down foundation by 2030, all of our resources are going back to the community. And then knowing that our main focus is the Central Valley and investing in the people in the valley. And then working for Priscilla, having the opportunity to learn from that. Like it was, kind of the perfect recipe to be like, okay, this is a great opportunity to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Interesting, right? Like it's almost like the universe said, like,
Yeah.
this is the time and place for you all to do what you do. For our listeners, can you share with them a little bit more about JBMF? Like, what's the mission and vision, values, and what are the priorities of the foundation right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the foundation, kind of mentioned briefly, it was really founded on supporting English learners in the Central Valley. So our founders, Jim McClatchy and Susan McClatchy, journalists in the Valley.
Yes.
And
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, had the opportunity to do a lot of reporting around migrant farm workers back in the day.
Yeah.
And really saw the importance for education for the young folks. And there's just like a deep, deep, deep warm spot for them in our work. And then around the First Amendment, which is so cool because ultimately now our sunrise is to advance a multiracial democracy. Nice. And, the multiracial part is important because that is the Valley.
Right.
The Valley is majority multicultural, 105 languages across it, deep, deep history, very reflective of the entire nation, and kind of the history of the United States is really the history of the Central Valley.
So true. So the way you said that makes, 100%. 100%.
Yes. And then, the cool part, the part that I love so much is that we get to, and this is where I really care deeply, is that we're investing directly in the leaders that are in the Valley. Because a lot of times funding in the Valley, there's been a deep history of philanthropic harm, a deep history of like creating very competitive dynamics, kind of pitting organizations against each other, a lot of like pity funding, like having portfolios that support other areas, and then doing like one grant in the Valley. And a lot of parachuting in and out of like coming in, trying to save the day and then leaving. Like this has just been the story of philanthropy in the Valley. So having the opportunity to be like, no, we want our dollars to directly go to people that live and work in the Valley, that are, a lot of folks come back. There's kind of this new wave of people that have, the whole goal was to get out of the Valley. They went away to college and now they're coming back and being like, oh no, I could actually make the change at home.
Kind of cool.
That's the part that like gets me excited because I mean, these folks are, they're doing everything. And if you want to know what's going on with the community, with the Valley, you talk to these nonprofit leaders, these grassroots leaders, and they're already way ahead of anybody else about what's happening.
I love that you all spend so much time out on the road, and you're very much a face-to-face foundation, which is really neat. We're in a real tough moment in time right now in our nation's history. As we're talking right here, there's military exercises happening to our friends and families in the Bay Area. There's just a lot right now, Misty. As you travel up and down the Central Valley and meet with the community leaders and meet with the gente of the community valley, a community of the Central Valley, how would you describe the general mood right now?
It kind of The general mood. That's such a good question.
Mm.
I always say, like, whenever I'm kind of feeling any moment of despair or loss of hope, you know, I'll just talk to some of the folks that we're working with in the Valley. And it's like they've already digested and processed so much in their life that they have the words or they have the approach. So I think a lot of it is like continuing to talk to folks.
Yeah.
I think when we talk to our educators specifically, there's a lot of anxiety and fear, a lot of just deep despair for what families are going through, for children not showing up to school. I think that's probably been the hardest space to kind of just hold, right? Because you want to do something about it, and I think there's this natural instinct to like have savior complex in philanthropy too. But it's like even just holding space and like listening to people and just um, allowing for the relationship to be the important part. I think
Say
is
that again,
critically
please.
important, you know?
Yes. What's the
It's
important
just,
part?
it's the relationships, the relationships. And that can be hard because,
Yep.
you get on the phone or you meet somebody and there can be this dynamic in funding where like you clearly know like, oh, maybe they're trying to pitch you or they need resources from you or something, which is totally part of the role. Like that's totally fine. But it's like, I think what a lot of funders end up doing is they just start to get a little bit defensive or they start to get a little avoidant of building relationships because like they don't want to have to say no or like they want to help so badly. And so, having to just kind of overcome that and realize that like I'm not going to be able to save this moment or, and just like really, listening to folks and having coffee with folks and getting to know them and driving to their neighborhood. But then I would say on the grassroots side, like the nonprofit leader side, I don't feel that despair when I'm talking to people because they are they already understand that healing happens in community and they already have had to be so adaptable. And a lot of them have, it'll be like the same leaders sometimes over the decades. They have memories of this happening in prior times.
Wow.
So I would say like the paths or the solutions forward is actually, with the folks already.
So how is the foundation gearing up its efforts to be there in this critical moment? Like I mentioned earlier, like I noticed that you all are not come to our office type of people. You are like, we'll get on the 99 and hang out with you in your neighborhood and learn from you. I think that's really cool. But how else are you all gearing up efforts to make sure that you're playing your role in this tapestry?
Yeah, in some ways it's like easy. It's like the natural evolution of the work because we've already been supporting. I mean, we've already been championing and supporting um, bilingual educators and multilingual learners, grassroots storytellers and journalists, and the nonprofit leaders, the grassroots civic leaders. So in some ways, it's not so much about what we're doing, but just the obvious moment of just responding and taking care of the people that we're working with.
Yeah.
And so it's really about the people and taking care of the people. It's not about like, and it's about telling their story, and it's about making even historical connections. Like Priscilla has really done an incredible job of connecting how the Japanese internment camps in the Valley now is very similar to like the ICE detention centers that are happening, and that's still like a living history in the Valley. And then how these ICE detention centers like popping up in Kern, these private facilities, how there isn't even public permits for them yet. There isn't even the conditions for human beings to be in these places. There isn't community support, and the fact that like this is not even being documented as like a moment in history. And then a lot of the, like tactics that are being used really start like in the Central Valley. A lot of people say like the Central Valley is like the petri dish of things. And then it gets deployed to LA. Then it gets deployed to the Bay because there just isn't the infrastructure for advocacy, for storytelling, for kind of community well-being. Also like not a lot of philanthropic wealth in the Valley that like people can get away with a lot.
Right.
So, in some ways it's not us like all of a sudden being like, oh, we're going to pivot our strategy. It's like just a natural evolution of what we've already been doing day to day.
Yeah. It's so neat to hear you say that storytelling is such a critical part of this moment because it is. And I think sometimes it's overlooked. Why is that so important to you all to really lift up the voices of the Central Valley in this moment?
Yeah, I think the narratives of the Valley play, I think, you know, culture wins over any logic model. Culture storytelling
Yep.
the path, and it also is maybe something I deeply believe. Like I'm probably not the best like student. Like I'm not really good at like reading books. Like I buy them. But what I've really like had to come like, I buy them and like told myself I'm going to be really smart and like read these books. But like I think what I've come to learn over time is like people are my library. And like I will like throw my people out there any day. Like I have the best library of people in the world. And I think that's a shared experience in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
oral tradition, that kind of learning through experience, that storytelling.
Yes.
And so it's like I think we need to work. That's the space that we need to work in. If we are going to have some narrative change in the Valley,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be just known for like, the best thing that you can do is get out of the Valley. Like that was the narrative that
That's right.
I heard growing up.
That's right. Yeah.
And then I also think, especially when it comes to English learners, multilingual learners, kind of like the English only frame
Yeah.
around language, and we know the benefits of multilingualism. We know how enriching it is for multiple reasons. We know how important it is to keep family, home, and culture.
That's right.
We know the decades of language that have been lost for, even looking at our own parents and aunts and tias, and
That's right.
just seeing like, how so much culture was stripped away.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that comes back to that storytelling and language. And
Yeah.
it kind of, if we think about a multiracial democracy, we have to think about civic media, we have to think about storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
we have to think about language.
Mm.
So, and I think people miss the boat a lot too. Like I think there's a lot of democracy initiatives or civic engagement initiatives that have no media or storytelling footprint, and they see it as like the comms PR part of the work.
Right.
Instead of like the integral part of the work. Like if nobody has a shared reality around what
Hello.
we're trying to do and who actually lives here, how are we going to like move forward together?
Mm. How are we going to move forward together? I think that's the question. That is the question right there, right? And so this is the part where you'll be like, Adrian, I'm not going there with you, and
Okay.
we'll
I'm
end
so
it.
excited. I wanted to go wherever you want to go.
So I mean, like, I see how you all operate, and there's so many like similarities between the JBMF outfit and the YDN outfit in that a small group of people that care so much and go 1000% for this thing. Uh, and real talk, like our conversations at home base right now is just about how are we taking care of ourselves because we're
Yeah.
tired. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit, we've gone so hard this year. And I bet that you're the same way. Have you all had a conversation about how to take care of yourself as you're taking care of so many in this time? Have you had that conversation with yourself?
My team is actually really good about this.
You all need
They're
to do a
like
workshop
evolved.
and bring us into
Yeah, no,
it.
they've evolved.
Yeah.
We had a dear team member pass away in 2024, and
Mm,
our CEO, you know, just had such intuition about bringing in a grief counselor. So we always kind of flex, like we have our own like therapist.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like every organization needs a therapist.
Ooh, that's nice.
So like, and it's and I think like the nonprofit sector, like it's so much more for mental health, but like some of it's like just straight up
Yeah.
like paying for folks to get these services right now.
So true.
And I think like even being able to process and name our emotions and feel all the feelings.
Wow.
I think when I really think about what this moment brings up, a lot of times we'll react with just an incredible sense of urgency or productivity or just being paralyzed and not doing anything. And I think if I, strip all of those away, like it really comes down to like a deep, deep grief and like sadness.
Yeah.
And just like there's just
Yeah.
trying to avoid that feeling. But
Yeah.
like, and I think that that's something that our team has been trying to learn how to do. We've also been trying to just bring in new practices like conscious leadership. And so, yeah, I think in some ways, I feel really, it's a privileged and blessed place to be, to
Mm-hmm.
have that type of support.
Yeah.
But, you still have to self-regulate yourself. And um,
How are you
yeah.
doing that? I bet you, tell me if I'm wrong. I bet you January to October felt like maybe January to March.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely overcommitted this year. I hit a point because, in some ways for me, like this work has, like, there's always been an ease or a flow to it. Like my whole life, like it's not like sometimes it's like I don't even know what my purpose is. It's just like things are happening, and like I find a lot of joy in like um being able to have kind of now this work life that has really been about community building for
Yeah.
decades. And there's been like maybe an ease to it sometimes. Um, and so, but this year, I think I overcommitted because I started to take on, in a good way, growth. I think like learning, like challenging myself.
Yeah.
I have like an itch that I need to scratch on some things. I just need to know myself. And I'm like, oh wait, I don't need to know anymore.
Yep.
But yeah, I just started kind of taking on too many, and I see this happening a lot actually in our communities, like taking on too many tasks and like being too much in the weeds.
Yeah.
Instead of like stepping out and really focusing. Like you've taught us over the years, focusing on kind of where your strengths are, and then like trusting that your people or your community or your team will take on the rest.
Yeah.
But then I figured out so what happened was I way overcommitted. I took on a second position as well. And then I figured out I was pregnant, expecting my third girl at the same time.
Congrats.
So yeah, thank you. So from like May to, pretty much now, really having to face myself of like, being what is like mom life, and like what does it mean to like take care of my own children, my own family, and then also the greater family that I'm part of in this work.
Yeah, so good. Oh my gosh, talk about some fabulous. When's the baby due?
In February. Yes.
So excited.
So
y'all have talked names and all that already?
I mean, my girls have. They're all about it, but I'm not. I'm still in like the, it's not real stage.
Yeah.
So
What's the funniest name they've come up with? You're like, yeah, no.
I think it's such a cute name. They wanted, but I'm like, maybe we'll name that'll be our puppy's name. But I also have like an animal name, so it's like, okay, Daisy Luna.
What is it?
Daisy Luna.
Daisy Luna. It's kind of cool.
It's but yeah, no.
Daisy Luna. I can see it though. So when you think about all this stuff, oh my gosh, it feels like the way you just explained it, right? Y'all are doing so much, you care so much, you love so much, you have this life, right? What are you doing right now to center yourself? What are you doing to just be like, this is for me right now?
I had always assumed it was like this idea of like taking more space for myself to like even process and digest everything that's happening. And I think I thought that meant like somehow be in a quiet room and like have space. But what I'm learning is like that's not that effective for me. I think like talking to folks and like making it a priority to be in community, and like going to the art show, like having the phone conversation, taking the meeting, showing up in person, like things that maybe feel like, yeah, I think the space for me is being in community, rather than like being in isolation, which I thought it was the isolation part that I needed.
That's wild. Recently, I gave a speech somewhere, and I said our superpower right now is community.
Oh yeah.
You just validated that. That's for
great.
Me.
Yeah.
You're so right. What's bringing you hope right now? In all of this chaos and all of this uncertainty, what are the things that you're like, we're gonna be all right?
I think in this moment too of just like creating life, like this idea that things like creation continues and like life moves forward, and like we'll find a way, and then looking at like what came before me, like even looking back to my family, like I've been doing a lot of that lately, like just kind of ancestor calling.
Wow.
Before I enter spaces, and so I think those are tools that like I'm kind of finally remembering, that I have, and just like calling on I do it with my grandpa a lot, like just calling on him and knowing like what he went through and what he made through, and like he crossed the border like over 70 times to make a life here in California.
70 times.
Yeah, and he just, you know, and just knowing kind of I'm like the direct product of him and kind of like the first one to like carry forward a lot of I think what he was working towards. So yeah, I think looking back and like bringing forward everybody from my past.
Yeah.
Um,
What do
and
those
yeah,
conversations sound like with your grandfather?
oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
Mm.
It's so cheesy, probably.
No, no, not at
Um,
all.
he had a deep belief in me. And this is also something that I have that I know I have for so many people. I just believe in them so much.
Mm.
I believe in them so much, and
I love that.
there was just there was like a belief, maybe a belief in himself,
Mm-hmm.
um, that you can't let that go. Like when somebody sees something in you and you're seen and heard by somebody, um, that's the feeling that can stay with you.
Always, always.
And then adventure, I always, my grandpa, he used to always get asked, like, why did you come to California? Why did you come to America? And his short answer would be like, because we were hungry. And then he got a job in the dishwasher rather than being like in the flower farms because he was like, I had access to food all day.
Smart.
And I think it's like a very convenient story. Like I always took that story to heart.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a story that satisfies folks. Like, oh yeah, they're hungry. They had to come. Like, okay, you are an appropriate immigrant because like you were trying to help your family.
Mm.
And then, but there's this other story that I haven't fully articulated yet that I actually feel stronger sometimes. At one time, he told me like, and I wanted a good adventure.
Oh, he
And
got one.
like, yeah, and he said he was naive. He's like, I was naive. Like, I didn't know I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But like
Yeah.
that sense of just like that straight, pure sense of like, he wanted to know and he wanted an adventure and he wanted to make something of his life. Like, and he wanted to take care of his family, like that passion and that vigor,
Wow.
like that's part of the immigrant story too, and like that's part of me too. So when I hear what I hear the voice in my head is it's also just like just F it, go do it. Like just go see what happens, like go have fun. Like
Yeah.
there is just like a like I just need to know, I just want to figure it out, I want to
Yes.
experience it, I want to have some adventure.
Yes.
And I think that gets undersold. And
Right.
like the nonprofit space is a space for that. Like you can have so much more creativity sometimes.
Julian, you heard that right? Talking to our cameraman.
Yeah.
Before you walked in, that was the conversation we were having.
Oh wow.
Creativity.
Yeah. So I think there's like a bench. I think it's very. Yeah. I think like it's not a victim. It's not a victim story.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you practice creativity in this world of philanthropy that, from the outside looking in, looks like it has some guardrails?
Well, thankfully I didn't grow up like adjacent to wealth. So like sometimes I don't even know the guardrails.
I love that. I love that.
So it's like you can't operate in something that you didn't know.
Right.
And then I also kind of grew up without like a deference to power. And I see this a lot in our communities. Like there's real deference to just like somebody in charge. And I think it is painted as respect, but it's not respect. It's like a survival or perfectionism that's a mask. That's just not real. And I think like um in these spaces that I'm in now, showing up, I think, with a savviness, but also like an authenticity, even in those spaces, and not like a deference to or treating people on a pedestal, actually serves you really well and like puts me in positions of power.
Right.
But like I didn't maybe on accident because I was just so naive. Like I didn't know that was a CEO of some big foundation worth $9 million.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that's been a part of it for me.
I love that you bring humanity to so many different spaces. I'm not saying the people that you're interacting with aren't human, but you bring your authentic self. So, a little bit of a theater here. Imagine that you are in a room with the people of the Central Valley, and it's a packed house, and the microphone is yours. What's on your heart right now? What words do you have for the people that you care about so much in the Central Valley right
I mean, if I was in a room with a microphone, my hope would be to like get rid of all the tables and chairs and would make it one big circle and make everybody talk to each other instead
now?
of listen to
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And so,
We're in a circle.
yeah, where, you go back to creativity. I think my creativity is people and like bringing people together. And it brings me a lot of joy when it's like I know somebody's energy, and like I don't even have to make an intro because that energy is going to meet that energy in that space.
Yes.
And so
So good.
I think, yeah, I would really like be out of words in some ways if I was in that moment, because it's like I would trust the audience's like ability to see me or know me, or like help to create this space that allows for people to connect with each other and hear from who they need to hear from.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry,
Is that
that's
what
not.
brings you joy?
What's that?
Is that what brings you joy? Seeing people
Yeah,
connecting? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not just like immediate connecting, like turn like lifelong connecting. You know?
Yeah, absolutely that. I've noticed that. I've noticed there was like earlier this year, you all had an event in Modesto. And there was a moment where I looked over at you and you had this big old smile on your face. And it was that. It was that you were so happy to see everyone talking and
Mm-hmm.
everyone ideating together and being creative together, being supportive. It was a really cool event. That
Well,
was,
that's like you too as facilitator. That's kind of what I mean. That's why I like to learn from you as well,
mm,
because that's like the the skill that you're also bringing into these spaces.
yeah, yeah. I was just talking about that with someone recently that so much of leadership is that big light bulb that goes off in your head that says, this is so not about you anymore.
Yeah.
And once you're able to suspend the ego, magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the ego is a little bit of a, stubborn. But it's so true. I'm wondering if you think about your role right now and where you're at in life right now, what are you most grateful for right now? What are the things that you're just like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely my family, my partner, my girls. Um, I think I mentioned earlier, both of my sisters and my mom were, teen moms, young moms.
Mm,
So I always was very hesitant to want to be a mom and just bring in life, because it's like it was always a moment of like, okay, we have to survive to like raise folks.
yeah.
And I also grew up in a time where like climate became a really big narrative issue, a big issue, and it was like almost irresponsible to like bring people into this world. So now to be at a place in my life where like, you know, I'm building a home and like there's stability, and it's like actually having an opportunity to like bring that into my work life and
Yes.
like creating that world.
Mm,
Um, for me, yeah, I'm just really grateful that's like and able to be public about it, because like I think before too, I don't want to expose that. Like
yeah.
I'd be a burden.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I'm really grateful for that, and feel like it's getting me closer to some purpose that I haven't figured out yet.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
So good. So good. This is going to be kind of weird, maybe not, but I want you to just
Just
close it out this way, right?
okay, I'll try.
You have to close this out with
Okay.
because I said I would, right?
Okay.
And I want you to think about the rest of this calendar year, right? And what commitment can you make to yourself and or to this community and close out because I said I would.
So commitment to myself or the community.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I need a minute.
That's all right.
Um, I mean, I definitely commit to continue to connect with folks, listen to folks, be in the valley, and do everything that I have, everything I'm able to do to support our community right now and make sure that um, voices are heard.
Mm,
And yeah, continue to kind of do my part to bring folks along,
right on. Because
because I said I would.
uh, Misty, you're the best, and I just want to thank you so much for everything that you do. Like I know you're coming at this from the heart, and you're bringing your big brains along with you, but you're not afraid to let your heart show, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for just letting me talk.
Are you kidding me? This is the best. I feel like in these moments, I'm just lucky. I get to hear from people that are real change makers doing great stuff. You're one of them, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, you hear even about the what we're doing at the foundation and like reflecting it as something like positive.
Yeah,
Like that's like weird for me at this point too.
Wow.
Because it feels like we're not doing enough, and it also feels like it's just so obvious. It's just something, yeah, this is just such an important moment for folks.
It is.
So no, it's helpful for me to hear that there's like resonance.
Tons. Absolutely that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Camera right over there. I want to thank you all for tuning in and just continuing to be inspired by the change makers that we have on the show. Please stay safe out there. Please stay strong. And if someone crosses your mind and they're still around, give them a call and tell them that you love them. Peace. I want to thank the Ring Studios, our partner and friend and family member Chaz Boswell, for always being part of the YDN family tree. The Ring Studios, thank you for helping us bring this live to the world. Peace.